Volkswagen just did what every truck buyer has been waiting for, released a brand new pickup truck with a starting price of just $20,000, and it is every bit as practical as it sounds. If you have been shopping for a capable work truck and keep walking away empty-handed because the price tags are simply out of reach, this new Volkswagen is built specifically to solve that problem. It's arriving with a cargo bed that outmuscles pretty much every mid-size pickup on the market today at a fraction of the cost. Extra large size for extra utility. Before getting into everything this truck is bringing to the table, one thing is worth clarifying. Volkswagen already sells a pickup in other parts of the world. It's called the Amarok. If that name rings a bell, it should, because the Amarok and the Ford Ranger are essentially the same truck underneath. They share a platform and a lot of key components, so anyone familiar with the Ranger will get a pretty accurate picture of what the Amarok is all about. The Doka, though, is a completely different animal. This is not a body-on-frame pickup in the traditional sense. What Volkswagen is offering here is the Transporter, a legendary commercial van, reimagined in a double-cab flatbed configuration. This truck is going to measure 221 inches from bumper to bumper, riding on a stretched wheelbase of 137.8 inches. The Amarok, for reference, sits at roughly 210 inches in total length with a wheelbase of 128.7 inches. That extra length is not going to waste. Most of it flows straight into the cargo bed. Anyone who has ever tried loading long pipes, wide lumber, or bulky equipment that simply would not fit in a standard mid-size truck knows exactly how that situation ends. Something gets left behind or a second trip gets added to the schedule. That is the problem the Transporter Doka is built to solve. The bed is going to run 85 inches long and 76.6 inches wide, offering noticeably more open cargo space than a typical mid-size pickup. Because the Transporter features a cab-forward layout with a much shorter hood, more of the vehicle's total length goes directly toward usable space. Payload capacity is going to sit at up to 1,623 pounds, sufficient for most trades and commercial work. At this price point, that combination of bed size and payload is going to be very difficult to match. And all that cargo space is impressive on its own, but it means nothing if the truck behind it isn't built for serious work, which is exactly where this one gets interesting. Focus on work. Pull up next to a Ram 1500 or a Tacoma in a parking lot, and the differences are going to be immediately obvious. The new Transporter Doka is not going to be wearing any off-road badges. There will be no raised suspension kits, no aggressive fender flares, no rugged skid plates visible from 100 feet away. What is sitting in front of you is something designed with one purpose in mind, and that purpose is getting work done. This truck is coming out of the latest generation of the Volkswagen Transporter, a nameplate that has been the backbone of commercial transportation in Europe for generations. The Transporter has never been about looking tough. It has always been about being tough, and those are two very different things. The new generation is carrying that tradition forward in a double cab flatbed format that puts cargo space above everything else. The exterior is clean and purposeful with a short front end, standard LED lighting, and a wide body that brings an overall width of 79.9 inches, actually exceeding the Amarok's width by a meaningful margin. Think about showing up at a job site where a pallet of materials needs to come off the truck quickly. A narrow bed turns that into a balancing act. A wider one turns it into a 2-minute task. That extra width is going to translate into real loading advantages on job sites where every inch counts. So the work credentials are clearly there, but if you think a truck this focused on cargo is going to shortchange the people riding inside, the interior is about to change that assumption completely. Interior design functional. A massive cargo bed might suggest that the people inside are getting the short end of the deal. That assumption is going to be wrong. The Doka, which stands for Doppelkabine or double cab, is going to come with a full second row of seating, with a room for adults to ride in genuine comfort. Depending on the configuration, the cabin is going to accommodate up to 6 occupants, making this a legitimate crew mover as much as a cargo hauler. For anyone spending 8 or 10 hours behind the wheel of a work truck, the cab is essentially a mobile office. Missing a call or fumbling through outdated tech costs time, and time on a job site is money. That is exactly why the tech spec here is worth paying attention to. A 13-inch infotainment touchscreen is going to be standard across the lineup, paired with a 12-inch digital instrument cluster. Wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto are both included, and a built-in 5G modem is going to keep the truck connected wherever the workday takes it. A column-mounted gear selector frees up the center console for additional storage right where it is needed most. Upper trims are going to bring individually heated seats, a heated windscreen, and more refined finishes. The overall feel is practical rather than flashy, deliberately so. Clean, organized, organized and modern without any of the excess that tends to inflate the price of a work truck. The cabin is sorted, but a well-equipped interior is only half the story, because the powertrain Volkswagen is putting under the hood of the US version is something most buyers are not going to see coming. Engine. The powertrain story for the US market is going to look very different from what European buyers are getting. Over there, the Transporter Doka is available with a 2.0-liter turbodiesel in multiple output levels, as well as a fully electric version producing up to 282 horsepower and 306 pound-feet of torque. Solid options for European buyers, but for North America, Volkswagen is going in a different direction entirely. The US version is going to arrive with a hybrid powertrain, combining a gasoline engine with an electric motor for a total output of 232 horsepower. A daily work truck needs to deliver on two fronts at once, enough muscle to handle real loads and enough efficiency to keep fuel costs from eating into the bottom line every month. This hybrid setup is going to address both of those things simultaneously. Performance is going to hold up for hauling and job site use, while running costs stay at a level that makes long-term ownership genuinely affordable. For a vehicle covering miles day after day, that balance is going to matter a great deal. There's also the matter of pricing. A hybrid powertrain at the base level keeps this truck competitive against gas-only rivals without the premium that full electric vehicles typically carry. This is a calculated move and a smart one aimed squarely at small business owners and buyers who need capability without the financial strain. That hybrid setup is already making a strong case, but it is the price tag that is going to make people stop and pay very close attention. Launch date and price. The US version of the Transporter Doka is going to be arriving sometime in 2 or 3 years, and the projected starting price of just $20,000 is going to be one of the biggest talking points when it does. At that level, this truck is going to undercut pretty much every compact and mid-size pickup currently on sale in America. For buyers evaluating a work truck through the lens of utility and cost of ownership, $20,000 changes the math entirely. The Maverick starts above that figure. The Santa Cruz costs more. Even base mid-size trucks frequently run double this price, and none of them are going to offer a cargo bed anywhere close to what the Transporter Doka is bringing. It is the contractor, the tradesperson, the small business owner who needs to move people and materials without overspending that this truck is built for. For that buyer, the Volkswagen Transporter Doka is going to represent one of the most practical and affordable options the American market has seen in a very long time. The new Volkswagen Transporter Doka is going to be bringing something rare to the US truck market: serious cargo capacity, a properly equipped cabin, and a hybrid powertrain, all at a price that is hard to believe. With a bed outpacing most mid-size competitors, a fully connected interior built for real work, and a starting figure of just $20,000, this is a truck built for people who need results, not attention. It is arriving in a couple of years, and when it does, the compact and mid-size truck conversation is going to look very different. Still, it's not the sole truck that's going to change the landscape of the compact segment. Other small pickups are coming, and if your key area of interest is maximum utility for the money, you definitely want to check out our video about the Toyota Hilux Champ. Strong capability, exceptional flexibility, and endless configuration options are things that separate it from pretty much everything in the market.